parents are extremely, extremely gifted. I mean, I have my other talents, and I have a lot of talents. Or I was born with a lot of talents. I don't have all of them now anymore, but I was born with a lot of God-given just gifts. Things that I didn't have anything to do with. And don't get mad at me and don't hate me because I can't help. That's why I don't get jealous of other people either. Sometimes people who are even slightly attractive, they get really a hard time with it. They experience a lot of cattiness from women, and sometimes exploitation by men. They have a really rough time. It's not so nice all the time to be a little bit attractive and then be accused of being vain or or conceited, or have women wanting you to cover every single inch of your body. I mean, in America, where you have a right to expose your calves. I have 2 legs. So far. But it's just so there are different challenges that come with having gifts, and I was born with a few, but my parents are gifted in ways I'm not gifted at all. They're highly, I want to use the word psychic, because there's not really another word I can express, but in the Christian sense, it's very prophetic, which is very true with them. They have an ability to predict things before they happen. They can see things before they happen. I don't know what it would be like to be them. I can't imagine being in their minds or having their eyes and being able to see the things that they see and know the things they know ahead of time. To me, it really blows my mind, and I never knew this for almost all of my 38 years. That's the shocking thing. I never once had a clue. Never. And they're so incredibly gifted in that way. The government has definitely used them. And I believe that they've used me, and then they decided to implant me with the microchips from the surgery of 1995, reward a bunch of, when they decided they didn't like me, when they put me on what trajectory was that? I think somebody tried to say that it was for research and for remote, trying to trigger things from a remote distance and see how it worked. But it's been extremely hostile. It's been a hate crime. It's been anti-competitive in every way. The only purpose that it served is to keep me out of work, school, and lawsuits that were not vindictive lawsuits filed by me, but were just lawsuits that I was forced to file because I pleaded with people to print retractions in the newspaper and to do the right thing and just clear up some things that were making me sound horrible and affecting my reputation and my life. And they refused, so I filed a lawsuit. Lawsuits. So then they steal my son from me. They tortured us worse, and they stole my son. And then they not only physically tortured him, Steve Mays is one of the individuals that's involved with these programs. I don't want Steve Mays around my child. He's been around my child. He's had his house, his own teenage sons around my child. He's had his house guests. The people that live in his house around my child. I don't want anyone has anything to do with military and government programs around my son. And because they know that I wouldn't want that, and because they do horrible things to my son to try to program him after they tortured him by remote means, they keep me out of the picture. They tortured me to keep me from getting my son back because to him, he's just a money investment. All he is an investment for the government as a research project. And I don't approve of it in any way. I don't want to work for any part of the government. And, I thought at some point that I did, and then I realized, they're the ones that are torturing me. They're the ones that are responsible for allowing torture and the kidnapping of my own son, covering it up, calling it fraud, and then trying to make me sound crazy to cover up for their own crimes. So, after my son was taken, I was put into the most degrading situation of my life. They forced me out of housing. They literally stripped me of everything that I had. They forced me to wander around like a beggar in America. I had all of these things that I could have done and things that I could have been doing that were productive things that I was capable of doing. And instead they just had me wandering around trying to find a place to live, and then they just had their agents and their military people picking me out the different places and trying to make predictions about me and using me. I was forced to live with every single person that I had to live with because I was forcibly put out of any kind of housing was military connected. And they swapped me around. They'd have me in one military residence and then another military residence and a different military residence while they tried out their own psychic abilities on me, which I can get into at a different time. But it's mind control programs and psychic research programs. It's sponsored by the United States government. I'm not like that. I mean, I don't have anything to do with that, but for some reason they decided to target me and try to figure out what all my plans were, because the only thing I can think of is that they got nervous, somebody got nervous that I was successful at my lawsuits and that I did that I was able to do what I did. So I guess they wanted to try to play a little chess, a little psychic chess. Instead of trying to get ahead of me in other ways, they wanted to keep me down and then try to predict my every move. And they try to use me internationally. And they basically, somebody has an idea that, oh, they can try to figure out all of my moves ahead of time here in the United States, then maybe I'll go abroad and they can try to use me over there. That's not going to happen. I don't have any interest in being used, period. I have an interest in living in the United States as a non-tortured citizen, with my son returned to me because he was taken from me in the commission of crimes, which were torture crimes. And I have the right to raise my son the way that I see fit. I don't support any of that. I've had some family members too that have not been very supportive because they've gone along with what others tell them to do. And that's a different side of things, but others have been supportive. So after having to live with a bunch of military people, I also had to work. I was forced to work in restaurants, different jobs. All of my employers were career military men, 20 years military experience type people. And then I'm working in environments where almost everyone around me is connected to the FBI and the military, and they're doing horrible things to me while I'm there. Prior to 2005, or 2006, that never happened. I mean, I didn't have any position where I felt I was totally just being used, or I was never tortured in the workplace. That changed. They decided to, once they got their aura in about, to call me mentally ill, they decided that they could then more successfully torture me in the workplace even. They've done horrible things. So, I just wanted to preface that, because at this moment, I'm tired of it. And then I say, I want these implants out, I want things removed. I mean, if I went, my parents used to say it wouldn't be any different even abroad. Oh yeah, well now I understand why. It wouldn't be any different if I went somewhere else, because they can remotely torture me anywhere I go. They have put microchips in my body. They have been torturing me from remote locations. So I'm sure it would be worse in another country, because I get outside this country and then they just do the same thing, but even worse, potentially. And when I say that I want them removed, that doesn't mean I want to go to a doctor, get on a Oregon health plan, go to a doctor, have somebody secretly take out the dental implant filling that the U.S. military dentist put into my tooth and then was used to target me with and cause excruciating pain. I don't need to go to, a Oregon State Plan dentist, have him secretly remove the evidence that what I'm saying is there, and then just feel that they've done something good. No, they need to admit that what they've done has been harmful and ruined my life. I can't have all of this. I don't need to have more evidence removed and destroyed. I need to be validated, and I need to have my son returned. And I'm really tired of pretending and being forced to pretend like nothing is happening, just to try to sound halfway normal, because most normal people can't understand where I'm coming from and the kind of family background I've had and the kind of people that I've been living around my entire life. So, this is the clip for today. I will go back to just my normal explaining things as things progressed and what happened next tomorrow, but I had to interject this. That's simply because I wanted to give a little background on the fact that it's not impossible what has happened to me. There are different reasons why someone would have access to doing some of the things that they've done to me, or use, or try to use a government idea as an excuse for anti-competition, which is what they did. They tried to use the fact that I was connected to military in some way as an excuse for doing something that they called research, which was really just torturing me and anti-competition, and it's hate crime. Doesn't deserve classification of any kind. There are laws about what can be classified. If there's anything that's classified that is used as an excuse to cover up anti-competition or crimes, it's not allowed to be classified. But of course, when the government does something this horrible, they work very hard at trying to keep up appearances. So, marrying someone, that was a little solution idea with somebody from the government. Marrying a man is not the solution. The solution is that the United States gets off of their high horse and apologizes to me and my son and returns my son. I want my son brought to my door. We're sorry, Ms. Garrett, for what we have done to you and your son. We respect the fact that you are his mother, that we illegally took him, that we prevented you from getting him back and from proving anything. We acknowledge that some crimes have been committed, and we are returning your son to you, so that you are able to raise him in the way that you wanted to raise him. And thank you, Ms. Garrett, for all of the years, for over 2 decades of years, that you babysat our own kids, our employees' children, and that you worked for us as a nanny. because our kids really benefited from that.